So Katy, let's give just one more minute for people to join. I know it's 3 o'clock. Just one more minute. I opened up a poll so they can start filling that. In the meantime. Okay. It seems majority of the people so far are parents from the poll.
Okay.
I see a bunch of people logging in, so just give a few more seconds.
Okay. And it's Severini-Kresock.
Correct. Okay. Very good. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay, Katy. So we, yeah, I think we're ready to get started. So why don't you introduce or invite the audience, and then let's take it from here.
Okay. Great. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our webinar today on building relationships with college admissions professionals. My name is Katy Watts, and I will be presenting today. My Q&A partner will be Jennifer Severini-Kresock. Before we get started with the presentation, I'd like to turn it over to Vinny Gupta, co-founder of UCEazy.
Okay, Katy, can you bring us to the next slide, please?
I'm sorry?
Can you bring us to the next slide, please? To the UCEazy.
Oh, great. Oh, absolutely. Sorry about that. Right. There we go.
Awesome. Katy, thank you very much. So just wanted to extend a very warm welcome to the audience today on a rather hot summer day here in California. My name is Vinny Gupta, and I'm a co-founder of UCEazy. The stars of the show today are Katy and Jennifer, but I just wanted to give you a brief introduction or a brief insight into who UCEazy is and what are we about. So UCEazy stands for Universities and Colleges Made Easy, or specifically in this case, making the admissions process for universities and colleges easy. Now, even though we have the letters U and C in our name, we are actually not just about UC, we are about colleges nationwide across the United States. Now, why was UCEazy founded and what is our mission? So the long story, I'm going to make this very short, is that me and my co-founder, we are both first-generation immigrants from India. And both of us have spent a long time in the information technology industry with very successful careers. But what we realized as we went through the college admissions process for our kids is that this process is just extremely complex, especially for an immigrant. In my case, both me and my wife, neither of us went to college here. So everything was new, very overwhelming. And in my case, I went through the same process with 2 of my kids, and it didn't make it any easy. So UCEazy, the inspiration behind UCEazy is to provide very high quality college admissions help to everyone. Today, what's happening is that the ultra affluent families send their kids to private schools, or they hire expensive private counselors for college admissions that will cost $5,000 all the way up to $1 million, believe it or not. So we're not talking about serving that population. We're saying that what happens to the remaining 98% of the population, and that's what UCEazy wants to help. Now, how do we do that? We have a combination of free tools, and then we have experts like Katy and Jennifer, whom you will be introduced to today. So if you go to our site, uceeazy.com, you would see our solutions listed there. One of them is called the Toolbox, which is a collection of 100% free web applications that can give you simple guidance for the college admissions process. So you can start there. The webinars that you're attending today, that's the follow-on where we are really giving you college admissions advice in a group setting. Now, the next phase here is that if you need one-on-one advice, that's when you can hire or contract through UCEazy Union. You can work with Katy and Jennifer and several experts like them to give you personalized advice. And the last point I wanted to make here is that we've gone to great troubles to recruit people like Katy and Jennifer. UCEazy Union is a network of experts that provides consultation over online video. This is not an open network where anybody can apply and get in. So Katy and Jennifer and people like them, they've gone through 3-4 hours of interviews. And the unfortunate thing here is that we've had to reject 2 out of 3 applicants that applied for UCEazy Union. So that tells you the great care that we are taking in terms of quality of people like Katy and Jennifer. So with that, Katy, I'm going to hand over the microphone to you to take us through.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Vinny. All right, so before we get started on the actual discussion today, just a little bit about myself. My husband and I moved back from Houston, where we were living 8 years ago, or for the last 8 years, and we settled in the beautiful area of Incline Village, Nevada. So if you're in Northern California, you might be familiar with Lake Tahoe. We are actually on the North Shore. And so we've been living here for the past 9 months or so. We moved out here for a school job for myself. It's been wonderful. The weather is great. We enjoy time at the lake. And of course, spending time with our 2 kids. I have a 6-year-old daughter who is finishing kindergarten next week. And we have a 14-month-old son who is keeping us on our toes. He's very, very active. Professionally, a little bit about myself, and you can see on the screen, I have a master's in counseling and a pupil personnel services credential since 2002. So for the last 13 years or so, I've been a high school counselor and a college counselor, working in diverse high school settings in the U.S. and overseas, private and public. And currently, I'm helping to develop the college counseling program for a startup school in Northern California, actually in Truckee. Our first group of graduates will be next year in 2017. So it's been very challenging and very exciting this year working with these students. I do have experience with American citizens and international students looking to really attend college all over the U.S. and even overseas in Canada, the UK, Australia, Europe, anywhere they would like to go. I help plan for that. In that regard, I actually am experienced with AP and the International Baccalaureate, or the IB curriculum, so very familiar with both of those and how they're reviewed in the admissions process. And of course, I'm a member of all the alphabet soup of organizations, WACAC, NACAC, National Association of Independent Schools, and Association of College Counselors and Independent Schools. What I've found since I've started working with these students in the last 13 years is that no matter how stressful the college planning seems, it does work out. I've had many seniors in the beginning of their fall semester of their senior year worried and anxious, and then by the time they're ready to graduate, they're so excited about their college option and where they will be in the fall. And I really am excited to hold hands with them and go through this journey with them. So with that, I will go ahead and send it over to Jennifer so she can talk a little bit about herself.
Hello, everyone. It's so great to be with you this afternoon. Again, my name is Jennifer Severini-Kresock. I am on the other side of the United States. I'm in northeastern Pennsylvania, north of Scranton. Scranton, Pennsylvania may be familiar to those Office fans that are out there. That's about our only claim to fame, though, here in northeastern Pennsylvania, I think. I'm in a small town called Clark Summit, which is north of Scranton. I have been a high school counselor. I worked in the public school system for over 20 years. And 5 years ago, I decided to go independent, and I formed my own independent practice where I do career and college counseling for high school and college students. Pretty much all over the country. I have a pretty busy business here in Pennsylvania, but I also work online with clients from all over. So I am familiar with the California system as well as, you know, pretty much anywhere across the United States. And like Katy, also some international locations. I am also a member of a whole bunch of counseling organizations, and I feel like professional development is very important, especially as an independent. So I'm becoming very active in all of the organizations that I have been a part of for about the past 25 years, and some new ones that I've joined since I started my private practice. And my philosophy after 25 years is there is a right career and college path for every student, and we just have to find it. Thank you, Katie.
All right, well, let's go ahead and get started. What will we explore today? We're going to look at building relationships with college admissions professionals and showing interest, and we'll call that demonstrated interest. We will also start out by talking about the admissions goals. So every application cycle there is admissions goals and how it might affect your application. Some of the terms I'll use today is I might shorten college admissions professional to college rep, or just say the word rep. And I'll also use the word university and college interchangeably. And what we mean from that is the 4-year undergraduate institution where you earn your first degree. So let's go ahead and get started. From the college perspective, what goes on behind the doors, behind the scenes during each application cycle? We know as college experts that each application cycle, the admissions professionals have goals that they have to meet. These are not always public. We don't always know what they are. But what they're really looking to do is enroll a diverse class based on what they need, their institutional needs. And these institutional needs can be based on pulling students in with certain backgrounds from geographical regions, maybe from different countries. Perhaps they're looking for students who are athletes or artists or musicians, and they could be looking for students to help enroll and participate in a new major on campus. So there's lots of different goals that these admissions professionals have, these reps have, when they're looking at decisions on who they will admit. It might sound like a big business up front, but rest assured, once you're admitted and you enroll, they are there to educate you. But there is a business perspective to the college admissions. Again, part of this big business is enrollment software and tracking of applicants. So they will start out with a very, very general pipeline of students. And one of the ways that they gather this information is from, honestly, the PSAT. And that's one of the biggest ways that colleges will start to market to students, is that the College Board will sell the information on score bands with student self-reported information. Perhaps you're reporting when you fill out your PSAT document ID sheet that you are interested in science or humanities, and you have a certain GPA or average in school, and then depending on how you score and what the college or university is looking for, they might have your name in their batch that they've bought. So if you are a sophomore or a junior, you are probably getting admissions materials in the mail, those shiny brochures, or you might be getting emails from colleges. So it is a business. They are funneling prospective students into their pipeline. One of the things that they're really trying to make sure is at the end of each admission cycle that they're able to meet their yield, and they're trying to get the number of students on campus that will help fund their programs and make sure that they have the students that they're looking to have. So for example, if a college is looking to enroll 1,000 students for the next fall, they might actually admit and give yeses in the admission cycle to maybe 1,500 students. So they're actually over-admitting, hoping to make sure that they have a yield. And if they know based on their institution history that 25% of the students that they accept will actually enroll elsewhere, then that will factor in. So what that means for you is that the more contact you have with a college or university, that could actually help you in terms of perhaps getting that yes from that college or university, because the college or university would actually know this student might be serious in attending our institution. So that leads us into why is it important to show interest or demonstrated interest. The Common Application is the main way colleges will accept applications from students. It was started in 1975 with about 15 different colleges. And remember, this was pre-internet. This was before the internet, and students actually had to fill out an application on paper, and this was sent in. Nowadays, though, you have the Common Application, which is up to almost 700 colleges and universities around the U.S. and even in the UK, plus the ease of the internet equals increasing applications for colleges. Every year, college counselors talk to reps, and the reps always tell us, oh, we had our best year ever. We had 10% more applications than the year before. So while this is a great thing for the colleges, which means they have a bigger applicant pool to choose from, it also worries them a little bit more, and they don't know who is really serious about their university, who's actually going to come and actually enroll on May 1st and make that deposit. So one of the things that we can do, or students can do, is to start building relationships, which will make you more than just an applicant. What this does is it helps humanizes your application. It puts a face to the name. And there's ways to do this, and we'll talk about this in a moment. You also might create an advocate in the admissions office. If you're making contact with the area representative who is reading applications for Northern California or even for Scranton, Pennsylvania, for example. So it's important that you become more than just a number in this process, because the fact that the colleges are seeing such an increase in applications. I became really interested in demonstrated interest when I attended a session at the National Association of College Admissions Counseling in 2014 in Indianapolis. Pomona College, Rhodes College, and Tulane University, all selective colleges and universities, nationally ranked, private liberal arts and science schools, they really hammered the point home that demonstrated interest helps them focus where to put their recruitment efforts. If they're seeing a number of applicants from certain areas and they're getting constant contact and emails, then they're going to see that those students might be more serious in attending their university. I always love the conversation I had with my Rhodes representative when I was in Houston, and she said that what they do is they actually, during the admissions process, will send out a letter to prospective applicants that says, we have your application, you would be a really great fit, but we just don't know if you're really interested in us. So they would invite the students to participate in an interview or to contact them. And so I thought, wow, that was really interesting to know that they are reaching out to students to say, hey, what's your interest in us? And that only makes me believe that that interest that the student shows back will actually be a factor in the decision that the college makes. All right, any questions, Jennifer, for us before we move on?
At this time, we don't have any, but we certainly encourage everyone out there to start typing in some good questions for us.
Great. All right, so let's move on and get to the meat of this. So how do I demonstrate interest? That's a really good question. One of the first ways is to actually make an official visit to campus. And this is more than just the drive-through campus on the way to grandma's house, where there's a college in the area and you just want to go on campus and look around. What this means is you will actually go through the steps of signing up through the college website, go to the admissions page and click on the Visit Us tab, or through the admissions information, and you actually sign in. And you put your name, your contact information, generally the year you're going to graduate, and then you pick your date and time. And an official visit usually consists of an admissions presentation in a room full of other prospective students, which is about 45 minutes or half an hour, and then usually includes a walking tour. And this whole presentation and tour can last about 90 minutes to actually about 2 hours, so be prepared for that. But what you're doing by signing in through the website and going for an official visit is you're logging your first touch point with the campus, and they're keeping track of that. And then a bonus, of course, is that while you're on campus, you can listen to the presentations, listen to the students, look around at the campus. What does it look like to you? And then you can feel. So try to use all of your senses while you're there and to getting a really good idea if this campus might be for you. So you're killing two birds with one stone, so to speak. You're logging in that you actually are interested in the school by signing up, and then you're really trying to determine if the school is right for you. And in the end, if you do end up applying, it might help you answer the why us question on the application. Most colleges will ask some form of this. Why do you want to apply to our school? Okay, another way to show interest is by asking.
One thing, Katie, just to kind kind of drive that point home about going on the visit. It's really important while you are visiting on that official visit, to ask some important questions. Show them either during the formal admissions presentation, maybe that you did your homework about the school, and ask a question, or ask a question while you're on the tour. Another thing I like to tell my students is, maybe you have some time and you can have lunch there, because you got to see what the food is like. If that's going to be, an important thing on your list, which it should be, because you do have to eat there, but talk to some students that maybe are not on the not giving the tour, students that are just kind of walking around campus, and ask them what they think about the school. Kind of get an I don't want to, for lack of a better word, like more or less an unbiased opinion. I think we all know that, students that are tour guides usually have a script that they're following. They're told, which buildings to show on the tour. So, and that's wonderful, because we all need to see those buildings and hear what they have to say about them. But it's also nice to expand out a little bit, talk to some students in the cafeteria, talk to some students that you see while you're walking along on the tour. Just a little tidbit there.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Lots of good points that you made, Jennifer. So you can definitely use the campus visit to demonstrate interest, but also really discover if this is right for you. So that's a great point. All right, let's talk about the college fairs. Usually they're national, regional, or local. So it really just depends on where you're at. Where I'm at in Truckee and in Nevada, we don't get too many college fairs up here. We're considered more rural. So we have to travel down to Sacramento, maybe even the Bay Area sometimes to go to a college fair. But it's really important for you to try and hit those, especially in your sophomore and junior year. The college fair is essentially a large auditorium, or maybe a couple of rooms, or maybe even held at a university, where colleges have tables set up, and they have their banners draped over the table, they have all their materials, and you really just go and you just start talking to college reps. One of the great things that you can do beforehand is go to the National Association of College Admissions Counseling website, for example, and pre-register. They will tell you at the NACAC website where all of the fairs are going to be that year, or for the fall or the spring, and you can pre-register and put in your information. A barcode will come up on your email, and you can have it on your phone. And when you go up to the rep at a specific table for a college you're interested in, you can just show them the barcode, and they'll have all your information. So again, another touch point for you to start building that relationship and showing that interest. Again, another benefit of attending a college fair is for you to get to know the school, ask questions. And this could be very basic questions surrounding majors, activities, research opportunities, location. It could be anything that you really want to know. And the one thing to know is that often the representative at that table is your area rep. So that person could actually be reading your application. So you want to keep that in mind. And in the end, after that fair, if you really felt like you made a connection or wanted to know some more information, make sure you have their business card and you send them an email and maybe follow up on the conversation that you had. The college fairs can be really crowded, so plan accordingly. Usually there's a list available beforehand of the colleges that will be attending, so you can really be strategic about it and make good use of your time. Another opportunity for a touch point and to build that relationship is when colleges come and visit your school. This is so important, and as long as I've been a college counselor, I can never figure out why students don't take advantage of this. This is probably one of the most, in my opinion, important ways for you to get to know the college and, of course, the representative. The college reps every fall and even into the spring nowadays, they have a list of schools that they want to go and speak with the counselors and meet the students. They are going to your high school because they want to meet with you. Usually the representative that goes is the first reader of your application. So again, another opportunity for them to put a face to the name when you actually apply. Visiting with the representative at your school allows for a smaller, more intimate, usually, group, and that equals opportunities for questions. So you can really be the one that's sitting in the front row of the classroom with the rep there and raising your hand and asking questions. And again, it allows the rep to put your face with the name on the application. And again, you can take the time to follow up with a question via email. So you're continuing to build that relationship. All right, another way to make a touch point or build that relationship is attending the off-campus presentations. We like to call these, quote, hotel presentations, as they usually take place in one of the rooms in a hotel that's centrally located in your city. Generally, it's groups of colleges that will travel in a pack, so to speak, and these colleges usually have some striking similarities, or they could have some big differences. But in the end, they might be coming together because they all represent liberal arts and science schools, or they might represent campuses with strong research opportunities, or anything else that would bring them together. If you can, pre-register and, again, sign up through their website. Make sure that they know that you're coming and that you're intentional about it. Some of the common information sessions that are held with questions and answers are the, for example, Coast to Coast with Dartmouth, Northwestern, Princeton, UC Berkeley, and Vanderbilt. And they will travel together mostly every year and hit specific strategic cities. And again, they're going to those cities because that's where they want to recruit students. So they're not just picking a place just to go for fun. It's very intentional what they're doing and their outreach. All the way down to exploring educational excellence, Brown, University of Chicago, Columbia, Cornell, and Rice University in Houston. So, you can always go to these colleges and universities and go through the admissions portal, and many times there will be a tab that says sessions in your area, or it will talk about the different information sessions. So the great thing about this is where you can actually bring your parents, and so families can go together. So students can attend with mom or dad, and they can all get the same information together. And again, it's another touch point, and you're moving kind of further down in their funnel of the marketing and getting closer to showing that, hey, if I apply and you accept me, there's a really good possibility that I'm going to attend your campus. All right. If you are at a point where you might be missing the fairs because you're so busy doing other things that are important to your high school or your life or whatever it is, we know how people are busy, you can contact the college. So sign up for information on their website. You can be asked to put on their mailing list, and they might then in turn email you their quarterly newsletter or a weekly newsletter, how often they're sending out information. They will tell you when they're going to be in your area. They might tell you who your representative is, so then you can make contact with them. The other important item to know is that if you are near a college or university that you think you're going to apply to, and I'll use Santa Clara, for example. If you are near Santa Clara University and you think you're going to apply next year or the year after, you still need to make an official visit. This is really important. And back when I was in Houston and Rice University was right there in our own backyard, the reps would actually tell us, if your kids don't come on and make an official visit and take advantage of the optional interview, we don't think they're going to be serious. So don't take that university for granted. Oh, I've already been there a couple times for math competitions or sports competitions. You want to make sure you're actually making an official visit. Okay. The other thing you can do while you're on the website is to find your area representative and make contact. Again, email them, ask them questions, introduce yourself. And if you are asking questions, make sure that they're deeper than what you can find on the website. So you wouldn't necessarily email and ask how many kids are, in the university, or if you can take your car on campus, or what's the food like. You might want to go a little bit deeper and look at your area of interest and ask if there's research opportunities, or if there's going to be a preview day coming up where you can actually come on campus. Do they host overnight visits? Things like that. So make those deeper questions than just surface level information that anybody can find.
A couple of other points, Katie. I was just thinking, another thing to do that isn't a bad idea even before making that official visit is see if on the college's website they have a virtual tour of the campus, just to kind of get a feel for it before you actually do make that official visit. Another nice thing to do, we all know social media is where it's at, so follow on Twitter, give them a like on Facebook. I think those are really important ways to connect as well.
Yeah, really good points. Definitely use the social media. All right, and then finally looking ahead to your senior year, I mentioned this a little bit before, but when you're actually preparing the application, pay attention to the optional or recommended items. I've always told students that anything that says optional or recommended really means required if you're that serious about that school. And it could mean that you send in an extra resume or an extra list of your activities where you've been active. It could mean that you're answering more questions that they have that might be optional. And it could be, again, going back to the Rice University story where they might offer an optional interview. So sign up for that and take advantage of that optional interview. So again, it shows that you are interested in that university. And even Rice would tell us, even if the student, we don't have time to schedule them, the fact that they have requested the optional interview goes a long way in the admissions process. Fill in extra information in the spaces provided. Don't leave anything blank. So for example, the University of California application has a box in the application that allows you to put up to an extra 500 words of information. And so use that to your advantage in whatever way that might be. So make sure you're filling in all the areas and that anything that says optional or recommended, really you should try to make sure that means required in your mind. Okay.
I think one other thing too with the interview, you know, I think, you know, you look differently in person than you do on paper, so to speak, or on the internet. And schools that are looking at holistically at an applicant, you know, the interview can only help you as far as I'm concerned. I mean, as long as you don't go in there chewing gum, dressed inappropriately and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, I think going in and telling them who you are face to face is really, it really goes a long way in the overall process. So that's just another little tip.
Absolutely. It does go a long way. So that's really great to point out. Let's talk about quality versus quantity. Do not go overboard with the emails and the questions. So as Jennifer and I were talking earlier, you don't want to be a stalker, right? So make sure that the questions that you're asking through email are pertinent, they're important, and they will give you the information that you need. Don't email your rep every week. Make sure that you are being judicious with the information and the questions that you're asking. In the end, attend the events that you can, and don't stress over what you do, what you cannot do. So there might be time constraints. You might be an athlete. It's you know, you might be going to the finals for soccer. You could be missing a school rep visit because you have a biology test. Don't stress over it. There's always a way to touch base with that rep, and it could be getting their emails and sending them a quick, you know, email that says, "Hi, I'm so sorry I missed meeting with you. I really am interested in your school," and then et cetera, whatever else you want to mention in the email. Show interest in schools where you are really interested. This is going to be exhausting to attend all of these things, attend visits, go to hotel presentations, send emails. So be selective about where you are showing your interest. It will be really hard for you to keep track of 10 or 12 schools when maybe you should hone in a little bit on maybe 4 or 5. Finally, review college and university websites for information on demonstrated interest. Stanford has a long-standing tradition of not keeping track. They just have different ideas about what demonstrated interest might mean, and they want to make sure that no student is, you know, given, you know, favor over another in the admissions process. But I would say that this is probably the exception, and most colleges and universities now are taking into account some form of interest in the form of emails or visits to campus, things like that.
There's actually a school I know of in Pennsylvania that student doesn't make a visit, they will not be accepted, and they make that very well known. So that's interesting.
Wow. Yeah, that is great. That's good to know. All right, so in summary, colleges and universities don't always know who is serious about their school. So this is how you show them that you're serious. If you really are, initiate the contact. And this should be student-driven contact. This should not be from mom and dad. And as much as, you know, us parents want to help and support our children, this is a student-driven process. The college reps absolutely 100% of the time want to hear from the students first, and the parents second, if at all. And make sure you are, keeping up with the communication from the college, and that you are following along with them, and if they're sending you information and they're asking for a response, that you respond back. You can create an advocate in the admissions office, and I've seen this over and over again where students during the admissions process, especially during a wait list time or any other time where the student has questions, they're able to contact that rep by name, and the rep knows exactly who they are, and they're starting to form a little bit of a relationship, so that when it comes down to admissions decisions, that rep might be able to advocate a little bit more and kind of give an extra bump or an extra tick on the application, so to speak. So, don't go overboard. Be serious about your schools and be intentional, and try to do the best that you can to make those events. The key recommendation for all college planning really is to start early. So even the 9th grade year is not too early to start on some key areas for college planning. So don't be afraid to get a jump. You don't want to learn about college planning in the 2nd semester of your junior year. You might find that you are behind, and it might be a little bit more stressful for you. So at this point, we'll go ahead and turn it over to Jennifer. If there's any questions, feel free to type them in, and we'll go from there. Jennifer, what kind of questions do we have?
I do. I have a question for you, Katy. When's the best time to visit?
I'm sorry, say that again?
When is the best time to do a college visit?
Well, I would say the best time to do a college visit is, number one, when the students are on campus. The other great time is, the end of the sophomore year, beginning of the junior year, if you want to make an official visit. Certainly in your freshman year, if you want to, stop by some colleges on your way on vacation, feel free to go do that. But official visits, you can start in your sophomore and junior year, and even in the fall of your senior year.
That sounds great. Let's see what else we have here. Any specific advice for when I go on a visit? Any specific advice in addition to what you shared? Maybe some, again, I think I mentioned about making sure that they stop in the dining hall, and have lunch there, see if they like the food. Any other specific locations maybe to look out for on a visit on the campus?
One of the things that I always tell students to do is, if you can, go to the student union and see what's on their poster boards, if you will, or on the boards that are on the wall. You can get an idea of the events that the campuses are holding. You can see what the culture is like. You can see what type of, things they're offering. And so you can get really good an idea of what the social life is like within the student union. The other thing I suggest to students is pick up a school newspaper. These are student-driven papers, and you will see what the important issues are for those students on campus. And Jennifer, do you have anything you want to add to that? Or
I was also going to say, make sure, if you can, hopefully, you want to see the dorm, because you'll be possibly, attending and sleeping there. So it's a good idea to see what kind of, shall I say, accommodations are available in the dormitories. That's, I think, a good idea. We also have a few more questions here. One of them is, what type of questions does a school ask during an interview? Okay, I could probably take that one.
Sure.
Well, for one, they're going to say, I think, tell us a little bit about yourself. Why do you want to come here? Tell us about your high school. What kind of an environment are you coming from? What about your courses? Do you have any favorite courses? What subjects have you enjoyed the most? Or, how has your education in high school been challenging for you? What are the most difficult courses? Or have you worked up to your potential? Do you like school? Why do you want to come here? What types of extracurricular activities have you been involved in? Have you done any volunteer work? What are you looking for in a college? What major do you want to study? And again, probably the biggest one is, why do you want to come here? And underlyingly, I think they're also asking, like, what are you going to do for us? How are you going to make our campus a better place? You know, it's a two-way street. They're offering you the opportunity to attend, but in return, what are you going to do for them? Anything else, Katy?
Yep. No, I think that's, do you have any more questions?
There is another question here. What are the benefits and cons of a summer college visit? You want to take that one?
Well, you know, the con is that there's not as many students on campus. So you may not get the full hustle and bustle and what it feels like on campus. A benefit, though, is obviously it's not during school time and you won't be missing class. So, you know, if the only time that you can visit is during summer, it's better than no visit at all.
And I agree with that. You know, there may not be as many students around on campus that there would be maybe during the fall semester, the spring semester, but you still have a chance to get a feel for the school. And I usually recommend, even with my clients, to go back once they're accepted, you know, and see once they're accepted if they feel any differently about the school.
Yeah, really good point. All right, let's go on and finish up just a little bit more of kind of housekeeping. You know, these are really great questions, and if you need more information, we have plenty of help. So if you'd like to schedule more time with myself or Jennifer or other college experts with UCEazy, you can log in and book some time with us. And if you have any other general questions, you can email us at info@uceeazy.com. So what are the recommended next steps? You can actually schedule an hour of consultation. And with this 1 hour, if you book by tomorrow at midnight, you can actually get 90 minutes of a consultation. So you book for an hour and you get 30 minutes free. So you can visit union.uceeazy.com and select initial consultation. And if you're still unsure about our services or how we can help, schedule a free 30-minute getting acquainted session. You know, college counselors love to talk to students and families. That's just what we do, and we love to share information. So, you know, visit our union and select getting acquainted, and you can have a free 30-minute session. You know, the other thing that you can do is you can buy a block of hours. If you know you're ready to go ahead and start planning and getting a leg up in the process, buy a block of hours. And this could be based on your grades or your grade in high school, current grade, and then the needs that you have. Let's look at an example of what the blocks are like. So for grades 8 and 9, it's recommended about 8 hours, and this will involve course selection. We can look at your potential high school courses or the ones that you're doing in 9th grade. We can help with your extracurricular activities, give you some suggestions, some ideas, help you with your summer planning, and maybe help you hone in a little bit on some careers and majors and how to go through some exploration there. In grades 10 and 11, obviously you can see the recommended hours beef up just a little bit. Grade 10, again, is course selection. You're going to be taking APs or the IB curriculum in your junior year. You can see that we're going to start to plan a little bit of your testing, SAT versus ACT, how do the subject tests fit in, and maybe some AP information. We might start to have a very preliminary first draft of your college list, talk about some financial aid. Grade 11, you can see that this is when it really starts, especially in the, you know, the spring of your junior year. We can go through a comprehensive plan for your application process, all the logistics of when you're going to test, how you're going to test, how you're going to get some, you know, extra time in to prep for that. What are some potential majors? What's your college list? Really start to nail down and get you feeling very firm and settled that you've got a good launching pad when you go into your senior year. We actually continue to have free events. So you can see the rest of June is booked up. June 12th, we've got, well, that was actually today. June 18th, we have Different Journeys to a Top-Tier Private College, and this will be student panelists, I believe, Vinny, from University of Chicago, correct?
That is correct, Katy, and my son goes there, so there is a bit of a bias there.
Great. There's some really great information on how students made their journey to University of Chicago. And then again on the 26th, Jennifer is presenting successful scholarship search strategies, which I know is a big topic these days with how to fund and finance your college and university. And of course, if you are working with a large company and you'd like to invite UCEazy on site for a workshop, please email us, and Vinny can get that set up for you. So there's lots of really great free opportunities to get some more college information. Vinny will be putting on your screen a feedback form. So please do take the time to fill that out and give us some good feedback about today's session. And again, thank you so much for listening to our webinar and asking some great questions. And I think, you know, we have a few more minutes if there's any more questions out there. Jennifer, do we have any more that we can?
I don't see any right now, but we certainly are waiting and ready to take some more if they have them.
Yeah, Jennifer, there are a couple that I see in the Q&A panel. Can you go back there? Unless, okay.
I'm only seeing what type of questions does the school ask during an interview and the benefits and cons of a summer visit. Those were two that were answered. I'm not seeing any others.
Oh, I see. No, you're totally right. Those are the ones. So do you, Jennifer, Katy, do you have anything else just from your experiences that you want to, what other questions come to you from families when you speak with them?
You mean about demonstrated interest or about college in general?
That whole demonstrated interest, the broad topic. So I can ask one from my journey as a parent. So,
oh, absolutely.
How many campus visits? So I am, say, an upper middle class family, so I don't have money to burn. How many campus visits should I plan for?
Well, you know, I think what you need to do is kind of make your list, if you can get a preliminary list. The other thing you can do is what I tell students is if you are near a large public university, if you're near a smaller private university, you know, that are local, that won't cost too much to go visit, go ahead and do that, especially if you're not sure what those feel like. Again, back in Houston, we had Rice University and we had the University of Houston, two very different universities. So I would always tell students, just go visit, step on campus, see what it feels like. I think once you start working with your college counselor, you will be able to start narrowing down a list and then be more intentional about where you would like to visit. So depending on the location and the time that you have, it really depends on what you're looking for. And I know that sounds a little vague, and maybe Jennifer will have a more detailed answer on that.
Well, what I'm thinking is, and I usually recommend my students to kind of pick a local school, because we certainly have a lot here in the Scranton area, Scranton, Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, or even, you know, even a little bit further out of the area. We're near the Poconos, if anybody's heard of the Poconos, and there are schools there as well. So I say, you know, start at a local school. Get a feel. If that's your first college visit, that's a great place to start, because you have then something to compare all the other visits. And I think, you know, 5 or 6 visits, I think if you really develop a good list, probably 5 or 6 visits, maybe 7 or 8 at the most, is definitely enough to start off with. I like to really, you know, develop the list to the point that they've done so much research on the schools and that they really, you know, have a few that stand out that they want to visit. I don't think it's necessary to visit 15 or 20 schools. I think that's really a lot. And I also think that I was recommending to some people yesterday, you know, maybe you probably could do 2 in a day if you do 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon. But I know from my own experience, I just came back from a college visit tour that I went on in the Lehigh Valley, which is not too far. It's about an hour and a half from me. And we did 6 in 3 days. And that was really a lot. And I'm doing another 12 this summer in Philadelphia in about 4 days. And that's a lot. I walked 15 miles in 3 days. That's probably more miles than I walked in a whole month in another situation. So, you know, I think it's really important to soak in and not overdo it.
Good point. Good point. All right, Vinny, do you have any other final words or any other last questions?
I'm just seeing whether there are any other questions that the audience has. So let me actually ask one more question. That as a parent, one thing that I learned is that we went through the same debate in terms of how many places or how many campus visits. It's a question of time and money, especially during the junior year where the kid is going through so much already. So one of the strategies that we tried out was that, hey, there are, broadly speaking, 3 kinds of campuses: a large private, or a general private like a Stanford, a smaller liberal arts campus like the Claremont colleges, or a large public like Berkeley. So go check out one of each, and that way at least you get flavor of what's going on. Do you have any perspective on that strategy? I mean, would you recommend that kind of a broad brush approach before narrowing down to individual colleges?
Yeah. No, that's exactly, Vinny, what I would suggest, and what I would always suggest to my students, especially as freshmen and sophomores. You know, you're so new to this process. Visit those types of campuses, and especially if they're local, and you're going to get a really good idea of how it feels. I've had many students come back. I actually just took some students to the University of San Francisco, and some said, you know, I really like the size, but I don't like that it's urban. And so they can really translate that to maybe some of the other schools, and that will actually help narrow their list, because now they're probably not going to look at truly urban campuses. So that's definitely a really great approach to do, is to look at the 3 different types that you mentioned.
And I would agree with that as well. Because really, you know, if you're looking at, like you said, rural, urban, depending on the size, it's kind of, I mean, every school has something a little bit different, maybe a little bit of a different personality, but the overall, like we're talking about the overall, the first visits, I think that's a great approach. Great.
Well, it sounds like that we are done with our questions, and I just want to thank everybody so much for taking the time to participate in this webinar and for your great questions. Again, please utilize us, contact us, sign up for that free 30-minute session, and we will do everything that we can to help you with your planning and get you on the road to feeling more comfortable about you know, the college process. So thank you so much for attending, and you guys have a great rest of the day.
Thank you. Great being here. Hope to meet some of you.
Vinny, you're on mute.
So the poll is going to remain open for another minute or 2. I see that some people are typing their responses, so we're not going to close those right away. But Jennifer and Katy, thank you so much, and to our audience, thank you so much for joining us, and we hope to see you in future. So Jennifer and Katy, if you guys want to drop off, that's fine. I'll just wait for the polls to close.
Thank you. Thank you, Vinny. Thanks,
Okay.
Katy.
All right.
It was great. It was great. Thank you.